Hello and welcome to the Global Chamber of Business Leaders International Women's Day event. Our theme is Heroes of digitalALL, unleashing the power of technology and innovation for gender equality. My name is Hazel Herrington and I'm your host today. And I'm so honored that you come here today to join us for this incredible event. Now, this event celebrates the incredible women that are doing marvelous things in the fields of innovation and technology, and how we are working together to create a more equitable and inclusive world. Now, here are some key points concerning today's event. We will be having panel discussions by experts in various fields, and we'll be presenting awards afterwards to the speakers who have contributed significantly in the areas of business, entrepreneurship, and advocacy. We thank you once again for joining us, and we hope you can gain valuable insights from our esteemed speakers that will be speaking today. Now, I'd like to introduce you to the speakers who will be joining us today. We have with us Alessandra Priante, Graciela De Oto, Her Excellency Laila Rahhal Atfani, Rosalia Arteaga, Anna Arakelyan, Khomotso Malete, Shelly Brunswick, Nicole Farrell, Joanna James, and Dr. Anastasia Lewis. I'd also like to mention our special guests. Today, we have the pleasure of having with us our esteemed chairman, Dr. Dejan Štancer. And I'll share more about our chairman. Our chairman is not only the chairman of the Global Chamber of Business Leaders, but is also the president of the KSBC Business Club. He's also the global ambassador for ABWCI, and is also the registered lobbyist at the European institutions. And not only do we have Mr. Štancer as a special guest, we also have the incredible Enrique Acosta, and he is joining us to present our awards. So we welcome you today to sit down, relax, and learn more from our esteemed speakers. At this point in time, I'd like to introduce you to our chairman, Mr. Dejan Štancer. Mr. Štancer, are you with us?
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for the word. Dear ladies, and of course, gentlemen, but today, ladies first, definitely. I would like to congratulate you on the International Women's Day. It's your day only, but I think that we have to treat you like every day is your day only. I would also like to use the opportunity to thank to all our female colleagues at the Global Chamber of Business Leaders. Without you, definitely, it would not be possible to achieve what we have achieved so far. And definitely, it would not be possible to achieve what we are going to achieve in the next future. But like every year, I believe that we have to address some issues connected or let's say, yes, connected with the gender equality. I have prepared a little bit information today because I wanted to see how the world is standing in terms of gender equality, and I have to say I was really surprised. The statistics shows that in multilateral organizations, women held only 12% of top positions in 33 major multilateral institutions since 1945, and more than a third of these bodies, including all four major development banks, have never been headed by a woman. I believe that doesn't need no any comment. 5 of these bodies have had only one female president in their history, and that includes the current head of the World Trade Organization. Since the end of the Second World War, since 1945, the 33 multilateral institutions had 382 managers, of whom only 47 were women. And despite progress in recent years, only a third institutions are currently headed by women. The World Bank, the United Nations, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and the Food and Agriculture Organization are among the 13 institutions that have never had a woman at the helm. I think it's a disgrace if we know that women make up 50% of the world's population. And I believe it's high time for demographic justice. My personal opinion, women bring a combination of leadership, wisdom, and empathy, and sometimes even a better understanding on what's going on in the world. But let me present you a little bit statistics about the Global Chamber of Business Leaders. As you might know, we never discriminate between people, regardless the skin color, political, religious beliefs, but especially not on basis on gender. Currently, the representation of women in the Global Chamber of Business Leaders is as much as 45.8%. When it comes to the working bodies, which we have established, committees, we have 6 of them, the representation of women is as much as 50%. From the set, we can easily conclude what I've been saying from the day one in this organization, that in the Gcbl, we do not talk about gender equality, we live gender equality. And something also important to mention, for us, there is not and will never be a question of which gender we want to appoint to a certain position. It's always the one who is most capable, doesn't matter of gender. And if Gcbl one day become an all-female organization, I think that I will be even happier then, because it will only mean that only the best are in the organization. So let me conclude with this. Dear ladies, once again, congratulations on the International Women's Day, and big thank you for honoring us today with your very important appearance. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to our esteemed chairman, Mr. Dejan Štancer. And at this point in time, we'd like to cross over to Enrique Acosta Gonzalez, our guest speaker. He's a leadership, management, and career developer, advisor, mentor, coach, among other roles. He's also a Navy veteran. Enrique is also the delegate for the United States of America at the Global Chamber of Business Leaders, and he will be presenting our chairman with an award today. We want to pass over to you, Enrique.
Yes, thank you all for being with us tonight. Congratulations, ladies, on this important day. Frankly, I say this day should be all year. So I celebrate you every day of the year. It has been a privilege to be part of the Global Chamber and all the things that we are currently doing. Thank you, Chairman Dejan Štancer, for being such a wonderful leader and an example to us all. We really appreciate your leadership and all that you bring to the Gcbl, and we're just delighted to have you. At this moment, we would like to recognize the chairman with the Global Gender Equality Champion Award, and I think it's well-deserved. This award recognizes individuals who have demonstrated an unwavering commitment to advancing women's rights and equality. And it is my heartfelt pleasure to present this award to our chairman.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I even don't know what to say. Thank you, Enrique. Thank you, everyone. As I believe we both already said, I think that we would need to have, we all would need to have every day's International Women's Day, because I believe that me and Enrique, we have every day a Women International Day. So that, thank you so much. Rather than to fill you with words, I think that the actions should speak. The actions should speak for us, and I believe that we have shown something in the future, but our time is still yet to come. Don't forget, together we are shaping the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you, Enrique. It's been a pleasure working with you, Dejan, as well. And we're going to move over to our next section of the event. And right now, we also want to thank Enrique for doing that presentation. You've done a great job, Enrique. And thank you for all that you do for the delegate of the United States of America. Thank you so much. Awesome. All right. Okay. At this point in time, I'd also like to acknowledge our other guest of honor who's coming live via video, Mariela Modeva, who's the Deputy Minister of Tourism in Bulgaria. She's also professor at the University of Library Studies and Information Technologies. We want to welcome you, Mariela Modeva. Thank you so much for sending us footage of this important day where you're talking about innovation for gender equality in a digital world. We honor you. We thank you for everything that you do to empower women globally. Thank you.
Dear organizers and participants in this high-level forum devoted to the International Women's Day, thank you very much to Global Chamber of Business Leaders for the opportunity to present my vision and the vision of Ministry of Tourism connected with innovating for gender equality in a digital world. Dear ladies and gentlemen, in a circular economy, social capital represents the resources embedded in the relationship between individuals expressed through non-monetary exchanges. Building social capital refers to nurturing flourishing and resilient, equitable, inclusive communities with good education and jobs, health and well-being, reduced inequality, democracy, gender equality, inclusion, and social justice. For instance, an example from one of the tourism sector's indirect value chains can be fiscal strategy. The fiscal switch reverses the intensity of taxation from labor to resources. Shifting taxation from labor as sustainable resource to materials as non-sustainable resource would increase employment, raise wages and living standards, especially for non-graduate, low-skilled labor forces, and provide adequate funding to finance and support key components of social capital as education and knowledge, health, culture, meaningful jobs, voluntary work, and equality. Innovation technology and its tendencies in tourism for 2023 regarding the developing of the tourist sector are mainly based on personalization. The new focus of technological development is the user, and the direction is towards personalization as each product becomes unique and targeted to the specific user. The development of robotics, artificial intelligence, and intelligent information processing systems will contribute to the personalization of the offered services. All these new trends will lead to the need to shape new roles for those employed in the sector, who will also need to possess different skills. The integration of high technologies and the shift to digitally based business models in the tourism sector has emerged as a major factor in achieving competitive advantage. That is most visible through the provision of services to tourists without physical contact. The use of other innovations will quickly satisfy unforeseen demands. This process outlines in front of the industry the problem of integration of energy-efficient solutions and sustainability. It is important to be mentioned here that now social media presence is more important than ever. In a response to these trends, the Bulgarian Ministry of Tourism will continue to direct its efforts in 2023 towards achieving a high digital culture in the tourism sector, while at the same time assisting all interested parties with the provision of up-to-date, accessible, and synthesized information. We are focusing on the digital presentation of dated information and a presence on various digital platforms and social media. Based on that, I would like to share with you some of the new tendencies in the tourism sector that our ministry is also working on implementing and developing to be up to date and to help as much as possible to Bulgaria's tourist sector. Such tendencies are personalization of the tourist product through the collection and processing of information from various sources, reducing the effect of inflation by effectively managing spaces through the usage of new technologies, building interactive cloud platforms that help the sector collect and analyze data from various resources, smart sensors and contactless technologies, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, voice search, 3D printing, virtually accepted reality, social media in tourism, live streaming, online and offline connectivity for timely and reliable information, and very important new group of users called digital nomads. All these trends are underlying the new reality where we have to work for the modern, resilient and digitalized tourism sector. Finally, I would like to wish very good success of all participants and of the forum in general, and would like once again to congratulate all women for International Women's Day and to thank you very much to all of you for your attention.
Next, we have our next panel speaker, the amazing Graciela De Oto. Graciela is going to be speaking to us about breaking barriers, overcoming gender bias and stereotypes in tech and innovation. I'll share more about Graciela De Oto. She's heavily involved in assisting female entrepreneurs to get relevant skills and overcome gender biases in entrepreneurship. She has even created a radio program called Bloom Women to share wisdom to help women's perspectives. Graciela is also a senior advisor for human rights at our Global Chamber of Business Leaders. Graciela, welcome.
Welcome, everyone. First, I want to thank all the team and, of course, our leader, Dejan, for allowing us to be here and celebrate in this way International Women's Day. Today, I want to talk to you about unleashing the power of innovation and technology for gender equality. In recent years, we have seen remarkable advances in technology and innovation that have changed the way we live, we work, and we interact each other. However, there is still a significant gender gap when it comes to access to technology, education, and job opportunities. Women and girls are underrepresented in technology and science fields, and they face significant barriers in leading, launching, and receiving funding of their businesses. There are 4 factors to consider. The first one, or the first barrier we can see, is the gender bias. When seeking funding for their businesses in these fields, women have the first barrier of investors, because investors prefer men-led startups, because they have still this day, they have doubts about the skills and experiences these women have to succeed in their businesses. The second barrier that you can find is that women have limited access to networks. So they have less opportunity to network with business partners, mentors, investors, and coaches. The third barrier is the lack of role models. Women struggle to find models to follow, to be inspired with, or to get guidance. And the fourth barrier is the lack of funding options, especially when we are talking about venture capital, because investors prefer high risk, high reward investments, and women are not there. We don't want in this chamber to stay in the problems. This is a big rush to tell what are the barriers. But what can we do to change that? I think that we can. First, suggestion, provide grants to women entrepreneurs especially when they are at the beginning or the early stages of their businesses, because it's the riskiest time. The second suggestion is to do hackathons or boot camps centered on gender entrepreneurs, because this way we can give them access to serious investors, to another women that are in the same place, and we can pitch them to networking and mentors. So the third is very enough for everybody here. We need to promote more diversity and inclusivity in the market, especially when we talk about technology, innovation, and science. By promoting inclusivity in recruitment and in retention practices, we need a more inclusive market for those women. Innovation means change, and we need change in order to improve our world when it comes to sustainability and social equality. So, in conclusion, I want to say that unleashing the power of innovation and technology for gender equality is not only the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. Because when we create an inclusive society, we can unlock the full potential that more women and girls need, and we can create a better future for all of us. I think I'm on time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Graciela, but we don't want you to leave as of yet. I just wanted to state that studies have shown by the Peterson Institution for International Economics that when the girl child is given 12 years of quality education, what this does, it increases the life earnings of women by 15 to 30 trillion. Now, what do you think that governments, schools should be doing so that this can become a reality?
Well, I can talk to you about Latin America, of course, because it's the region where I move. And, you know, especially in Argentina, we used to have very high levels of education. It doesn't happen right now. I think we need to change the culture, because we have a very paternalist culture here, and we have still on schools a lot of stereotypes, you know. Women play with dolls, men play with football, and women use pink and men use blue. And we are still in the 20th century, you know. We need to change that, because in the schools we are teaching ladies that the only thing they have to do is to raise babies. They don't have to work. It's not good. We are not going to get any progress. You know, we mean education to be the 21st century education. We need to level up all the system, because here in Latin America, in Argentina, we don't promote women in science, and we don't promote women in mathematics or things like that, because it's easier when you go to the university. We have free university here, and we are blessed with that. But all the women has to go to medicine, lawyers, or marketing, but not in financials, not engineers. We don't have many engineers, because that's a main word, you know.
Thank you so much, Graciela. That was an inspiring presentation, and thank you for joining us on this special occasion of International Women's Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to our next speaker, a woman that comes from the incredible city and country of Dubai, and it's none other than Her Excellency Laila Rahhal Atfani. I'll tell you more about Laila. She is the president and founder of Business Gate and the I Am Africa Foundation, among other initiatives. Her portfolios include trading, franchising, and finance. Laila, welcome to the Global Chamber of Business Leaders International Women's Day event.
Well, greeting from Dubai, and good night, because it's the night here, and good morning for you. I'm so happy and glad, and thank you to the chairman of Global Chamber of Business Leaders. And thank you to my sister heart, the women who empower a lot of women online and indirect until Middle East and globally. Hazel. Thank you to all our speaker and honorable guests today. I'm so happy and so excited. Is the International Women's Day. And like he said, the gentleman, he say, it's every day, not only today, it's 365 days. We have to always celebrate a woman. Why? Because a woman is the builder of the nation. A woman is the regenerator and sunshine of each family. And the United Nations did not put those sustainable SDGs goal from nowhere. And one of them is to empower the women. Why to empower the women? Because they see what others did not see. And like she said, my lady, still there is a places where the need, even we know that the woman is being empowered and born to be leader, and she is a leader since she started in her small circle, her home, and then she lead the world in different services. So there is a places like Africa, like American Latino, like some part in India, Afghanistan, and other part of the world. And as we are a global chamber of leaders and a business, I'm sure we are dealing with many countries, which our focus as a global chamber of business is the women also. And thank you for our leader for that. And thank you for giving me this chance to be part of this beautiful global chamber. So we back to the women. There is, I seen in Africa as in the women empowerment and youth empowerment and SMEs, I seen where there is still no 3G, a lack of ignorance, no even insurance, health insurance, no education, and still those women need to be empowered. We're talking about the big cities like Sydney, Melbourne, like Dubai, like New York, Paris, all globally, there is a stronger woman, powerful women, like my lady Hazel, she write in her book, Women Diversity. So we need now to highlight those women who need us. The celebration will be for those women really who deserve to be empowered, to be pushed, and especially the SMEs, those ladies who struggling in a business. And as our global chamber is focused on business and leadership, I think it's time to open the door and to go to those regions and start to implement all the system solution to left them hand and to grow up the network and the business. We do a lot of role models from UAE because on the women empowerment, I know that this year Dubai take the #1, especially after Expo 2020, which is the Minister of Expo. It was Rima Al Hashmi, and she did great job. And I know there is beautiful women and stronger women and powerful women globally in different countries who are doing that change and challenge and the impact. We are arrived. We are empowered. We have to look at for others and we have to put our hand together. I think it's time for collaboration, not competition. And I think we have another book coming which is beautifully will be done by my lady Hazel, and that will challenge also the vision of the business. And with all the efforts which do in our global chamber of commerce, business leader, we will be really hitting a big door internationally, and we will be challenging more women. So we talking about women, we forgot the pillow of our nation. We need a gentleman. We need those great men who's boosting us, who are shoulder, who are motivator, and like our CEO chairman, Mr. Dejan, which is his focus to empower and boost the women. And I say thank you so much. And thank you to all the team or behind and the people who are behind the curtain, because today our celebration is not only for the women, for the great gentlemen who fight for us and give us the trust, transparency, and the truth to say you are leader. Yes, we are a great woman who are looking for space and place. And I think there is no more we need to be empowered. We already empowered. We reached the moon. We are taking place in many government places and we are succeeding. Yes, I think it's time to just focus in making a business And talk in one country is diversity and humanity and inclusion. And those are the key of the success. Together, we build a success, and together we bright, better world and build a nation. Thank you so much again. I did not prepare my speech. I speak from my heart because I believe which is coming from the heart, reaching the heart. But we need strategy. We need sustainability. We need kindness. We need to prove to the other people that we are learning every day, and we need a people who can guide us, grow our vision from local to global, and give us the skills, because we cannot be everywhere, but we can be somewhere where we succeed. And that somewhere we will start from our global chamber of commerce, the business leader. Thank you. Laila, Rahhal.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. That was a phenomenal speech. And I agree, we can't do this alone. I believe in the empowerment of women and men. Thank you so much. Okay, now I'd like to introduce our next guest speaker, the amazing Alessandra Priante. She is a multilingual professional who is the director for the Regional Department for Europe at the World Tourism Organization. She has strong capabilities in culture, tourism, and tech, and has mastered computer technology. Today, Alessandra Priante will be talking about innovating for gender equality in a digital world. Welcome, Alessandra.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to address all the women that are listening today and greet them with a happy International Women's Day. I would also like to say Parev Inchpeses to all the Armenians that are listening to this message today. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak at your fantastic conference. The position of women in the workforce and the persistent inequalities remain a very important topic. The significant advancement in women's position in the workplace serves as a testament that women empowerment and equality are not impossible. Tourism is definitely home for women. 53% of the workforce in tourism coming from Europe is actually women. And also, we have a lot of women leaders in tourism positions, whether they're CEOs in the private sector, but also ministers. We have at the moment 13, and we hope many more will come. UNWTO is working towards greater gender equality in the tourism sector. And for us, Sustainable Development Goal number 5 is very important, because we are absolutely aware that only women are the ones that can make the change, especially in difficult times like the ones of COVID, like the ones now recuperating after the war. I would like to quote my fantastic colleague from all over the world that are contributing very, very hard to the restart. Taking advantage of this recovery process from the pandemic, UNWTO has initiated the Center Stage Project for women's empowerment during the COVID-19 recovery. We're working towards gender equality in the tourism sector, not only at its low-paying end, but also at a governance level. And we published recommendations for advancing women's empowerment in the recovery from the pandemic. We're mainly focusing on targeted policies and assistance, training programs, and promotion in inclusion in leadership. We've done this fantastic study with the help of the German GIZ. Women are discriminated in predominantly two aspects of the working environment, in their wage and in their possibilities. Achieving higher positions, getting more responsibilities, having word in a decision-making process is statistically harder for women than men. And women are often tackled as the ones that are more sensitive. Therefore, other subtle instruments such as mobbing, such as cornering, such as pressuring, such as bullying are often used. We are really aiming at observing all of that and the impacts that this is going to make in changing not only the tourism sector, but the world, to make it become a better place. We have put a strong focus on technology and innovation. And we see that in technology and innovation, this gender disequality decreases because women tend to be, and no surprise for us, the ones that embrace diversity, that fuel creativity, which are essential element in the innovation industry. Gender equality in technology and innovation is not just a question of fairness. It is essential for the success of our industries and the progress of our society as a whole. By working together and taking concrete steps to include women in men-dominated industries, we can create more inclusive and prosperous futures for all. As a woman and as a director, I believe that the glass ceiling can and should be broken through. For all female leaders, it is our collective responsibility to work together to break down the barriers that have kept women from fully participating in our respective industries. It is essential that we ensure that women are not just represented in our fields, but they're also given equal opportunities to succeed and thrive. We should be teachers, mentors, or role models for next generations of female leaders on how to reach high, how to pursue dreams, and how to be successful and respected in any sector, regardless of its history of male dominance. Female leaders have gone through a path of full challenges. Many pioneered in the industry, and now we have the power and the possibility to make this path an easier one for future generations. Once again, thank you very much for having me and have a prosperous discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alessandra, for that speech. We appreciate you attending the Global Chamber of Business Leaders International Women's Day. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to our next speaker. It's a pleasure for me to introduce our next speaker, who has dedicated her career to empowering women and girls, not only through technology and innovation, but advancing gender equality. I'd like to welcome at this point in time, Rosalia Arteaga. Welcome, Rosalia.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Dejan for the invitation and to wish you all the women that are attending this meeting all the best during this day. I'm from Ecuador. I am former president of my country and former Minister of Education also of Ecuador. And I am now attending a meeting in Baku in Azerbaijan. Then it's very early morning 9. But I want to share with you some ideas because I am passionate by education. I think the tool to transform and to change the world is education. And also, I say that after being in politics, I go back to education, and I am leading an NGO dedicated to improve quality of education in my country and other countries in Latin America and in the world. We think that we have to start very early with the girls if we want to have more people, more women in scientific areas or doing different work than in the past it had been. That's the reason that we first work with teachers, because the teachers can make the difference in the classrooms. And I am leading an NGO here now. The proposal is also to work with small girls in STEM areas, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And we also add an E about ethics, because without ethics, science is not going to any place. We know for sure that the wars and the bad things in the world also came from science, but science is a tool, like technology and innovation, they are tools. And we have to use very well the tools like internet or like other things that we can think about. Then the idea is that ethics can be a way to put the science on the field of small girls, and we are training small girls with very good results, and also the teachers to work on innovation in mathematics, science, engineering. And of course, we know that it's not easy. In countries like Ecuador or Latin America, we are a non-developed country, and the situation in our countries nowadays are very complicated because political issues and socio-economic issues, even if we are a continent with a lot of diversity, and it could be an extraordinary opportunity for girls to evolve and to create more and more innovation with the biodiversity, and also using all the tools that we have nowadays. The reason probably that we don't evolve and develop all these tools is because we don't think many times that education is not a wasting of money. Even when we have, and I know that you especially Dejan and maybe Enrique and others, and are in the field of finance, and it's a chamber of international commerce. But usually when the countries decide and qualified and say investing are oil and mining and finance, but says the ministers that only are using the money, but not like an investment, they are education and health. And you know that when we are talking about the increasing of the GDP and other proofs in the countries about development, the countries that invest more in education, they are the more healthy and wealthy economic countries in the world. If you see how is the amount of money that Finland, for example, or the Nordic countries are investing in education, it's really a big issue, none in our countries. Then the suggestion is to put more money preparing the best raw material that we have in our countries, that are the brain of the kids, the brain of the teenagers, and to put more money on that, to train the teachers, because even having a lot of money, if you don't have the teachers trained, it's impossible to make the difference, to improve quality of education, to open the mind for the technology, to open the mind of the small kids, especially the small girls, because as Graciela says, we had sometimes the roles for women and for men, even in developed countries, that is true. If we don't manage to move the conscience of the world about the big waste of brains that we have, if we don't put the women and especially young girls, young kids, to be in the field of technology, science, and innovation, we will not. We are going to nowhere. Also, in these last words, I want to say that every kid is very curious, and we have to develop the curiosity of the kids. Every kid in the world, they want to know, they want to discover. They are sometimes struggle some things, even the walls, painting or doing things with the equipment of the family. But this is curiosity, and we have to stimulate the curiosity and to get them into science. That's the way that we can transform and develop our countries. Thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity to share with you some ideas.
Wow, Rosalia. I'd like to say for me, it's an honor to meet you. And I know a lot of the women here I've worked with before. And I'll mention Shelly, Excellency, who's just left. We've got Joanna, Khomotso. We are aspiring to get to where you've been. What advice can you give us for those that want to get into politics, that want more positions of leadership at the decision-making table?
Yeah, well, as I said before, we must clarify what are the goals that we want in the countries, because if we have only the goals of economic fields, we are not going to achieve not even that goals. Then we have to put a lot of effort in social issues. In a country like mine, that we have a lot of malnutrition, a lot of kids out of school, that we have not good quality of schools, you are not going to anywhere. Then it's very important for people that arrives to the positions of leadership, or that if a person won an election and try to do the best is invest in education and health. Of course, security is very important. Of course, economy. And maybe I want to say something else, because women, we are multitasking. We can do several things at the same time in a very good way. Better in trying to do at the same time the social efforts, the economic, the environment. Then we have to take the opportunity and take the advantage to use all this multitasking capacity that women have.
Like I said again, we're honored to have you. And I'll definitely be reaching out to our chairman to see if we can get you involved in another event where we can invite the ladies, such as an in-person conference, even writing books, because we are so blessed to have you at this event. And not only that, in Gcbl. Thank you so much.
And I ask your permission because it's very late and I have to rest a little bit to be like congruent next day. Thank you very much. I will not stay more.
No worries. We will be doing an award presentation. We'll acknowledge you and send you your award. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much once again to Rosalia, Arteaga. I'm a big fan. I think you guys have all noticed that. And let me tell you, we are definitely going to have her back for another event, books. Wow. Thank you, Rosalia. Now, the next speaker is a good friend of mine. I adore her. We've worked together. We're looking at doing a book together as well. Please join me in welcoming our next speaker, who is a true inspiration to us all and has achieved remarkable success in her career through hard work and dedication. Anna is someone who, you know, when you decide you're going to do a project, she puts in 100%. You know, she's up all night. She's making sure that all the information is ready for all projects. And Anna was also part of this event. I want to say thank you to Anna. And I'll share more about Anna, who's going to be talking about leadership and entrepreneurship in the digital age, lessons from successful women. Anna is an executive level public administrator, qualified trainer in the area of tourism strategy. She's also a policy expert and lecturer. She's also the director for strategy and growth at the Global Chamber of Business Leaders. Anna, it is a pleasure and honor to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you, dear Hazel. It's you have already told about me such wonderful things that I have some difficulties in going into continuation, and thank you so much. It is not only a great pleasure and not only a great honor to be here and to share with you this very successful event. It puts on me a lot of responsibility to be here and also to commit myself fully to achieve our goals, because together we are shaping the future. And thank you, dear Hazel, for doing whatever you are doing. Thank you for being a really role model, not only for all of us, but also inspiring, not only through social media, but also in our everyday life. Thank you for being not only such a wonderful woman, but also a real friend and just a person. Thank you, all of you, for being here. And again, dear ladies, sincere congratulations on Women's International Day. Today, as Hazel stated, I'm going to talk a little bit about leadership and entrepreneurship in the digital age. And in order to be able to do that, I've done a simple research and found out some challenges and also opportunities, how to overcome all of the challenges and barriers that women right now face, especially in technology sector. So first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about leadership traits and then go on challenges and solutions. So what does it mean to be a leader in the digital age? I've been asking this very question to me several times. And I'm talking about a leader in general, in its broad sense, because to me personally, it is no more just, it is about trust, empowerment, and engagement. However, as research from Gallup shows, only 13% of people are really engaged in their work. And you know how it mostly looks like in the most workplaces based on hierarchy, command control model from top to bottom, executed in order to reach efficiency that is no longer a solution. However, in our modern and digitally connected world, when things like innovation, connection, and speed come for the first place, then the people who have to make decisions around all of these changes reside at the bottom of the organizations, and the leaders have to trust them, have to call them to share decision-making and also create culture for people to feel safe enough to take risk and also to act on behalf of the organizational interest. So employee engagement is no more than empowering them, than engaging them in everyday conversation. And empowering them to do most. Women have an essential role in bringing and in making a difference in the digital age, but are they really engaged? And the answer is definitely no, because BCG article highlights that only 25% of women are really holding some positions connected with technology and science, engineering, and mathematics, and only 9% out of which holding leadership positions. I have researched and found out three main challenges that I would like to highlight and also make solutions for these respective things. And the first barrier examined was the lack of self-confidence in digital literacy and also in the STEM-related subjects. By telling STEM, I mean science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And one way we can address this issue is to implement STEM-related program, pipeline leadership program, and also to be able to implement some upskilling and reskilling trainings so that to help women to overcome this kind of challenges by gaining marketable and necessary skills. And the second barrier examined by me is the underdeveloped entrepreneurship and business skills, because becoming a digital leader is not only about coding and is not only about having some kind of digital marketing skills, but it is much more about the ability of using these skills in order to create and capture business opportunities. And insights can really come from various places. I would like to bring the one example that in 2013, the Girl Scouts of the United States of America has been making technology a central part of how women, girls, volunteers, and even their parents can be engaged in the Girl Scout movement. And they hired a chief technology officer to be able to develop a tool to enable women and girls with activity planning and also onboarding. And one of the good projects that they have been implementing so far has been the introduction of digital cookie platform that helped the women not only in selling iconic cookies, but because of the fact that the platform has been also offering some educational possibilities, women and girls have been able to gain some insights about business planning, about business analytics, and also about budgeting things. And the third challenge, or the third obstacle observed by me, has been concerning the venture capital investment that our colleague, dear Graciela De Oto, has already highlighted, because if the ultimate goal is to have much more successful business startups led by women, then simply encouraging them will not be enough. However, if we look at figures, we see that among innovation startup businesses, only 11% of this kind of business startup founders are female. And although we very much like to talk about that venture capital investments go mostly to the best ideas, however, if we look at all of these figures, we find out that it is men who really have the keys. So inspiring women, empowering them to do best, and by training them and giving them all the necessary skills, it is our social, moral, and economic responsibility. I think so. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was an inspiring presentation. Education is definitely important. Even when I was doing my studies, education not only helps us when it comes to financial inclusion to promote gender equality, because how can you go to a bank, withdraw money? How do you understand even in terms of reading when we look at Africa? So thank you so much for that inspiring presentation. Now we're going to our next speaker, a woman who stems out of South Africa, my neighbor, Khomotso Malete. Let me tell you, Khomotso has inspired me so much. She's a true women empowerment. Not only is she a true champion of women's rights, but she's dedicated a career to empowering women. And I'll tell you more about Khomotso. She is a leadership and empowerment consultant, author, global ambassador for many organizations, and a human resources expert. She has won numerous awards for work in various fields, and she's also our delegate for South Africa at the Global Chamber of Business Leaders. Khomotso, we'd like to welcome you, and she's going to be talking about leadership and entrepreneurship in the digital age, lessons from successful women. Khomotso, welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I would like to thank you for giving me this time. I will not be able to share everything that I would like to share. I would like to thank the chairman of Gcbl and all the leaders from different countries. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and the skills and experiences in this field and challenging aspect of leadership. So I'll be sharing with you the challenges as well as the achievements that have been made so far that I've identified, some of them, just a few. I'll start with the challenges, but I'll also highlight the solutions that we can create going forward. One of the things that I've identified is that many companies do not align their strategy with the operations within. Like when they come with the changes of innovation and digitalization, they do not align that with the strategy that is existing within the organization. And that can become a problem because when you try to implement or execute or during operationalization, it can create a problem, problems like effectiveness. Because if you want that to be effective, you have to make sure that it's aligned with the vision of the organization. The other challenge that I have identified is leadership, that you need strong leaders who are visionaries in this particular area, because it's a very demanding and very risky change within the organization. So what needs to happen is that leaders need to embrace change and be ready to accept that you have to test and look at the various aspects and look at what is working, what is not working, and listen to others. So therefore, you need to be very collaborative so that there is cohesiveness within all the departments, because it's something that you cannot do in silos. And the other thing that I have noticed as a great problem is that other organizations introduce that, but without identifying whether that is accessible to people intended for this change. For example, women in rural areas, for example, when you introduce or when you come with improvements of innovation, you need to identify that it will benefit the people that it is intended for. Like women who are in the rural areas, you have to make sure that they do have cell phones, they have internet, they have access to all those things, or all the areas favor the change that is made within that organization. So it's important to make sure that you have done that due diligence to make sure that whatever change is made, they will benefit the people. So it's not always a one size fits all. You have to make sure that it really fits and benefit the people, especially women, because most women in organizations, we know that they are very excluded, So you have to make sure that it really benefits and it's executed at all levels of leadership, from a highest level of the hierarchy within the organization. And then there is that cohesiveness as well. And leaders must be prepared to change if something is not working, If they've implemented something and then it is not working, you have to be prepared to learn and take advices and listen to what people are saying. If something is not working, it is not working. So you have to listen as a leader and be prepared to change, because it's like trial and error until you achieve what you really want. You cannot achieve it all at once. So the other thing that is important that I've noted is that we have to remember constantly that digitalization and innovation are enablers of business. They're not necessarily the end. So as people or human beings are behind this, they are the ones that have to drive these changes. So you have to make sure that we do not remove the human element within all these changes or within the strategy or the operations of the organization, because otherwise it becomes a problem. So remember that those enablers must also be integrated within the organization in all the departments so that there is uniformity, there's cohesiveness, there's that collaboration, which is very important. And that is why we want ultimately to achieve that diversity and inclusion of women and all other role players and stakeholders who must be aware of what the vision is and how that vision will be achieved. And the other challenge that I've seen, that I've identified that we can solve is people not being treated fairly in terms of rewards. These are changes happening within the organization, so it's important to make sure that people are rewarded fairly. Even the most hardworking person within an organization needs to be rewarded and recognized. So you have to make sure that in order to make sure or to ensure this progress, you have to make sure that people are rewarded, they are paid, or you can have a system where you make sure that you reward them accordingly. So it is very, very important to do that. And it has to be a decision that is taken within all the departments within the organization. And there are also great advantages that have benefited people, especially women, through innovation and digitization. Many jobs were created, many jobs were transformed. There are people who were unemployed, and now they have jobs. Their jobs were transformed, positions were created because of this change. So we have seen a great advantage as well. There are companies that have made a great difference. Earlier on, I mentioned that you need to check now and then and assess whether this is working or it's not working. For example, a company like SAP that develops software once recognized that they have been isolating women, or let me say, there was that bias, in terms of gender and employment, their recruitment policies. So, but they rectified that by creating a system that would, close that gap, the gender gap. And they used artificial intelligence to solve that problem. Fortunately, they identified the problem themselves. So it's important to go back and look at the loopholes, look at the strengths and the weaknesses as a company within before it is identified by other stakeholders. I think it's important to get that within the organization and have a clear strategy that is common, that can be implemented, and there must be transparency within the organization so that everybody in the organization is aware of what needs to be achieved, what is the vision, what are the goals, and what are the objectives, and what needs to be executed when. There must be clear timelines so that everybody is aware. So it's really a process whereby each and every department or each and every role player or stakeholder has to be aware of what the deliverables are and what are the key performance areas, what needs to be measured. Because as long as we do all this, but there's no measure or there's no target, it's a problem. So we have to make sure that we are targeting a certain deadline and we have clear measurables, and we make sure that this will be effective, because if this is not effective, then it's just another change which is not going to be benefiting. That change has to be accelerated, but when you accelerate, you need to be aware that everybody is on board, especially the people that are going to benefit from this change. And it has to be checked now and then, whether it is working, whether the people are happy, the stakeholders are happy, the supply chain, all the departments, are they happy or what? And ensure that people have access to, simple things, and be aware of all the role players, and be mindful of other people who may not have or may not be at that level, like in rural areas, for example, in South Africa, who don't have phones, laptops. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to share. There's a lot that you can share as far as this is concerned. It's a very interesting topic. Thank you very much for listening and being so attentive. I hope I was understandable. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I don't know if you have questions.
Thank you so much, Khomotso, for that inspiring presentation. We've learned so much, and leadership is important in any business, especially because when you're a leader, people are following you. So if you're leading people in the wrong direction, it can be destructive, not only for yourself, but for the organization. Thank you so much. Now, I am so excited to announce our next speaker. Not only is she a true innovator, but she's been recognized as a leader in a field. And I'm talking about Shelly Brunswick. I've been working with Shelly on a lot of projects. And one thing I can tell you, that Shelly is loyal. She's on time. She gets the job done. And I tell you that if I had millions, I would hire Shelly. And in fact, I'd make sure that her office, she stays in her office, she doesn't go home and she's working all day. I'm joking. Shelly, I'm so excited to have you at this event. And Shelly is going to be talking about digital privacy and safety, protecting women and girls online. And I'll share more about Shelly. She's the Chief Operating Officer at Space Foundation and is a thought leader, author, mentor, and well-established keynote speaker. She has won many awards, and in 2022 was cited as one of the most influential women in leadership, among other honors. Shelly, welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Hazel. And it's such a pleasure to be with all of you. And I've so enjoyed listening to everyone give their talk and the camaraderie and the collaboration on how we continue to move the needle forward. So I'm so excited to join you today. So thank you and happy International Women's Day. What I'd like to focus on today, Hazel asked me to talk a little bit about, as we pivot from the last topic, to digital safety and privacy. C is the risk and challenges that we see with women and girls. So I wanted to highlight 5 main areas for digital safety and privacy that primarily affect women and girls. And those 5 areas are cyberbullying, online harassment and stalking, privacy settings and online security, sexting, and online scams and fraud. So as we talk about International Women's Day, cyberbullying is not just something that happens to women. We hear about it in the United States all the time on the national news, where individuals that are in high school or junior high or even adults are cyberbullied to the point that some of them take their lives. So cyberbullying is a real challenge, and it's a serious problem that many women and girls face online. And it can take many forms, including harassment, stalking, and verbal abuse. It's important to educate women and girls on how to recognize and deal with cyberbullying, such as reporting the abuse to the social media platforms and reaching out to trusted friends, family members, and professionals for support. We can also look at online harassment and stalking. Now, women and girls are often the targets of online harassment and stalking, which can be extremely distressing and even dangerous. It's important to educate women and girls on how to protect themselves on their social media platforms. Additionally, it's crucial to report any instances of harassment or stalking to law enforcement and to seek support from trusted resources. That third one is privacy settings and online security, especially for young women and girls. We all jump on social media. We look at Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, and we put a lot of information out there, but we really need to help educate ourselves as well as others about the various privacy settings. Women and girls should be educated on how to adjust those privacy settings on their online accounts to keep their private information private. This could include 2-step factor authentication, using strong passwords, and avoiding sharing sensitive information online. I mean, one of the things I always avoid, and I encourage others to avoid, is when you're traveling, Don't post that on social media, because whether you're a woman or a girl, somebody knows you're not home. That's a great time for a criminal or thief to break into your home. So never post that personal information. Post those great travel pictures when you get home, or have somebody stay at your home so that it's never unoccupied. That fourth one I'm going to talk about is sexting. Now, sexting is becoming increasingly common among young people and can have some serious legal and social consequences. It's important to educate women and girls on the risk of sexting and how to protect their privacy, such as avoiding sharing explicit pictures or videos or using secure messaging apps. And then the last one is online scams and fraud. Now, this affects many people, not only women and girls, but also the elderly can be targets of scams. But for women and girls, they're often targeted with phishing emails and fake social media accounts. So it's important to educate them on how to recognize these scams and to avoid giving out personal information to unknown or suspicious sources. I got my wonderful phone here. I even sometimes get emails or text messages from people I don't know saying, your Amazon account has been frozen, or your bank has been this. Click on this link. Never do that. If you are concerned about an account, call the bank, call the organization yourself using the phone number in your material for setting up the bank or on the back of your credit cards. Never click on those links. So in conclusion, digital safety and privacy affect all of us, not just women and girls. And especially online, it's easy for predators to find us. But by raising awareness, such as today, and providing education on these topics, we can help prevent cyberbullying, online harassment, and other forms of online abuse. Additionally, empowering women and girls with the tools and knowledge to protect their online privacy can help prevent online scams and frauds. So again, Hazel, it's always a pleasure joining you. I want to thank all of you for inviting me today. I look forward to the next speaker who's talking about the same topic. And as I always say, I look forward to seeing you around the galaxy.
Thank you so much, Shelly. As we can expect a powerful keynote speech, thank you so much. And I'd like to introduce our next speaker. I've been working with Nicole for quite a while as well. And I'll tell you that Nicole is not only a gender equality and inclusion champion, she actually walks the walk and talks the talk in everything that she does. And Nicole is also going to be sharing on digital privacy and safety, protecting women and girls online. And I'll share more about Nicole. She's also a consultant and coach for image and public relations architecture and workplace protocol and etiquette. She's also the founder and strategic director for a mentoring initiative, Empire ADY, pronounced Empire Ready. She's also a writer and international speaker. And Nicole is the director for communications at the Global Chamber of Business Leaders. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Hazel, and greetings to everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know we are in different time zones. So just to touch on, of course, what we're doing with this particular segment, we're dealing with privacy and safety of young girls and women. Now, we all know we're very much into technology. We're always on our phones, we're on our iPads or laptops, you name it, we're on some sort of device. So how then can we protect not just ourselves, but young girls and young women? Now, when you look at some of the issues that we've been encountering, 71% of women are usually the ones who fall victim to some sort of online threats, right? And that is a huge figure when you think about it. Now, this is worldwide, but 3 countries that are definitely most affected by this is the United States of America, Brazil, and India, right? So how then can we go about, not just with these countries, but as a whole? Now, some of the problems that we would encounter, and as my conference colleague would have talked about, Shelly, human trafficking, sex trafficking, stalking, that is a real thing. One of the problems that we also have that starts online is grooming with pedophilia. This is something that is very, very, very common. And of course, there is also the cyberbullying aspect of things. Now, these are some areas that are very prevalent to that safety threat when it comes to women and young children. So how then can we deal with it? Now, in the Caribbean, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. There has been an initiative by the United Nations which developed an app called HOPE, which deals with gender-based violence, and it even gives you tips as to how you can overcome these issues, right? Now, the thing about it is, when you think of online threats, it's not just physical things, but they do start online if you look at the trend, and it parlays into physical activity. So we have to be really careful as to how we go about these things. Even in terms of the dating apps that we have, Forbes magazine has cited that there are over 8,000 dating apps and platforms. You do the math. So then we can see how it is definitely a challenge for us to deal with the digital safety and privacy of women and young girls. Now, in dealing with the challenges, there are certain things that we absolutely can do. But what are those challenges in the first place? Well, one is app development. App development, it's a great thing, but it can have a negative connotation, because for every good app there is also a bad version of it, right? So how we deal with this is we have to either keep one step ahead of these people who would come up with the negative versions, or we are step by step with. Another challenge that we have is hacking. A lot of people have fallen victim to hacking, and this is something that you almost cannot control, because there are apps to show you how you can hack into an account or hack into somebody's personal space. So this is also another challenge that we have to deal with. Another aspect of it is the lack of supervision by parents. A lot of parents tend to let the devices babysit their children. So they don't know what their children are looking at, what they're listening to, or anything of the sort. So this becomes a challenge, because if you don't know what's going on, then you don't know how to deal with it. So parents also have to be vigilant when it comes to these things. And the last challenge that I have cited is peer pressure and peer access. You may be very strict at home, or a parent may be very strict at home, but your child or a child has access to their friends' devices. They can see things, they can hear things. So while their parents may not be as stringent, you may be, but they are still exposed to things. So these challenges are very common when it comes to it. So as we look into solutions, what can we exactly do? We may feel sometimes as if it's a lost cause, but there are things that we can do. So I like to use acronyms. So I'm going to use the acronym SHE, S-H-E. The first thing we can do, S, we can sustain initiatives that deal with covert and obvious signs of threats. And simply by saying this, it means that we have to keep on incorporating the uses of agencies and organizations who deal specifically with these things. But even as a whole, it takes a village. So we also have to do our part in ensuring that these things are always given attention to. H, have real conversations with youth, because at the end of the day, you can't just talk at them. You can't just give them information and expect them to absorb it. You have to have real conversations and encourage dialogue. And one thing you need to remember is that sometimes they cannot talk to their parents, so they are going to have a forum where they can actually talk about things and glean information. And E, embrace technology positively. And what I mean by this is simply be on point when it comes to apps. What are the trending apps that youths are using? These are things that you should be researching, especially if you're a parent or guardian. Find out what it is they're doing. Find out what the apps are. Find out how they use it. And this will help you. Even syncing your devices with children, with your children's device, that can help as well. And just to wrap up, I always think of things in a holistic sense. So there are things that we can do that are very 1, 2, 3 when it comes to a system. But another thing that we have to do is empower girls so that they can have a proper level of self-esteem and self-confidence. When you talk about grooming, when you talk about dating apps and all of these things, a lot of times people pretend, and if their self-esteem is low, if their self-confidence is low, they may not recognize certain things and it may be very easy to influence them. So it's a holistic approach that we need to take when it comes to the digital safety and privacy of our young girls and our women. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nicole, for that
You are
powerful
most welcome.
presentation. I was speaking to myself there. I love the acronym SHE, sustain, have, embrace, absolutely powerful. I've written that down. Yeah, thank you so much for, it was really amazing. Thank you so much for being a part
You're
of
welcome.
it. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to the next speaker, and I'm proud to introduce Joanna James, who is a true inspiration to us. And she's been working with women for, I think it's almost 10 years. She's the founder of the Successful Women Leadership Academy and is a celebrated and award-winning architect and builder. She has been recently appointed delegate for Australia at the Global Chamber of Business Leaders. And Joanna is going to be sharing on For Good, leveraging digital tools to advance gender equality. Welcome, Joanna.
Thank you, Hazel. And this is wonderful because I'm meeting all the people I've been speaking with for the first time since my appointment, Dr. Anastasia, Nicole, Khomotso, we've shared together. Enrique, thank you for your message to welcome me. So it's wonderful to be a part of this community. Thank you very much to Dejan and Hazel for having me today. So International Women's Day, for me, it's a day of celebration, connection and conversations. What I'd like to do is set the context around what's happening in Australia, because I've been fascinated to learn what's been happening around the world. And as with any issue, it really is a global issue, but then it comes down to the next level, which is country to country. And then within those countries, industry to industry, and then finally business to business and down to family. So we're really having this conversation on many levels. But to put it into perspective around what's happening in Australia, we have a wonderful report here. It's called the Women's Index. And Khomotso, you talked about change. And this report measures change over time. And in fact, it measures the rate of change and the number of years to have equality across different sectors affecting women. Now, for the first time ever in over a decade in Australia, we went backwards in terms of employment this year. Equality of employment went backwards. But to give you an idea, we are ahead of other nations in some areas. So it's only 6 years until we reach equality for board leadership in this country, which I believe is very far advanced compared to other nations in the world. So we consider ourselves very fortunate. It's 19 years until we have equality in what we call superannuation, which is our pension upon retirement. And it's very well known that women in this country retire with 1/3 of what men do. And in fact, women over 50 is the fastest growing group of homeless people in our country, and many women in their 50s, whether it be through dislocation of employment or divorce, are finding themselves in financially precarious positions. 25 years until we close the gender pay gap in this country, and 44 years until we actually close the gap between paid and unpaid work. Although this year we did see that there was a significant improvement in the contribution of men around the planet to unpaid work with families and homes. And I believe that COVID and the change in the way we work has had a big implement in that. The takeaway, though, which we've really been talking a lot about today, is it's 138 years before we will reach equality in education. It's an enormous number. And we've talked a lot today. A lot of people have shared, Rosalia shared about the importance of education, 138 years until we reach equality in this country. And we did discuss this at length yesterday at an event that I was in. Now, to put it in context in terms of technology, now I personally was a physics and calculus geek at school. So I'm a big advocate for STEM and for women entering these areas. And as you can see from my career, it took me into very male-dominated domains. Now, in terms of the report that was released by the Australian government from the Department of Industry and Science and Resources, they had a State of STEM Gender report, which the figures are 2022. They haven't released figures from this year. But to put it into context from the figures that you shared, Anna, about the Gallup report, it's well known that women lose their confidence as they grow from girls into women in these areas. Yeah. And we've had many conversations today about the need for further support and conversations, really helping young girls understand what a career in STEM means, and particularly what it means in terms of finances. So we had a conversation yesterday that many women are encouraged to go into nursing and education sectors, which are very honourable sectors, very important sectors, but the pay is just simply not the same as it is in technology and other sectors. And these conversations have not been had. 36% of enrolments into university within the STEM area are women. Only 27% of people in the STEM workforce are women, and only 8% are CEOs. So I believe that actually puts us behind the Gallup poll, Anna. So while in Australia we are fortunate to be advanced in many areas, it would appear that we're actually behind in terms of the average. And I think that's the power of the conversations that we're having, is to understand the relativity of how we sit as countries and as industries. So yesterday, I had the great pleasure of spending time with women in finance, which is also my background here in Australia. And it was eye-opening for the women in the finance industry to realize that we're ahead of women in the tech industry within Australia, and that perhaps we have lessons that we can share and contribute to other industries in helping them advance along the way. And at a business level, this is where we have perhaps the most power to change. The innovation and combination of technology was the theme this year, digital. Now, what is innovation? Well, innovation is ideas into application. And in business, if we embrace the things that we're discussing today in terms of leadership and application, we have the opportunity to leverage the most change. Now, as we see around the planet, ChatGPT, it's only been out 90 days. Who online has already had the opportunity to use it or witness the power of what it is? Yes, I know. But as you can see, ChatGPT pulls data from what's already currently available. Now, one of the conversations that we need to have about technology and applications, and while they will be bringing tremendous efficiencies to the work that we do, and it is a huge issue for women in business, how do we manage family and business too? What efficiencies can we bring up? I believe the conversation around time and managing time, it was a massive conversation for women in business in the room yesterday. But one of the things we need to understand as we leverage more into technology and automation is that these have biases too. They've already been developed by predominantly men that are developing these applications, and the applications that we use have an inherent bias too. And so the call to have women in software, which I believe, Nicole, you were sharing, is really important, that we have more women in this sector developing software and applications, because the applications themselves do have an inherent bias to them. And technology is the distribution of information. But the information and the data must be scrutinized. It must be interpreted before we put it into application. Otherwise, we will simply find ourselves in a position where we're replicating more of the same without us even realizing. The other thing that we discussed yesterday was around what's going to happen in terms of automation and the effect of women around the world. Soon there will be whole industries, job descriptions that will be automated. They will simply disappear. And the conversation we need to be having is, how will that affect women moving forward? And what impact will automation have? It will bring blessings, but it will also bring radical change. And as Khomotso referred to, if we are not ready for that radical change, if we do not understand the way in which that's going to affect women around the world, we may be in for a big surprise in the next decade or so. So I know that Hazel said we were going to be talking about technology and tools, but yesterday it became evident that there is a precursor to innovation, and that is inspiration, because ideas into application, we must encourage the ideas first and foremost. And so having the conversations, whether it be at a country-to-country level, an industry-to-industry level, a business-to-business level, or within our family around what is the possibility, what are the creative ideas we can bring to innovative change in general, this is where we need to start, because we need to have those ideas then translated into action. And that will come primarily through the education of women, that we can understand what is available to us, what opportunities are available for young girls entering into the STEM area of business, and also within women in business. You know, the statistics are quite alarming when you look at startups and the success rate of startups. In the first 3 years, more than 50% of new businesses will be out of business. And yet we've seen, even within professional industries, like the mortgage broking industry and finance industry, where we were having conversations yesterday, there is a significant gap in skills that are really needed. And these may not be technical skills, but they are practical entrepreneurial business skills that people need in order to make significant change. So education is happening on many, many levels. The conversation around technology and automation really has just begun. And I think that conversations like we're having today that help us understand about the differences around the world and the differences within industries and the differences within businesses are where we will find that inspiration that we can then translate into innovation and change. I want to thank you so much for your time. As I said, it's wonderful to be here today. Happy International Women's Day, and just wanted to honor again the amazing men that I've seen online today, because I really do believe that we stand at the edge of a pointy knife in the advancement of women, where the conversations simply must include men. For to exclude them is to replicate the very thing that we are speaking about. So want to honor and thank you so much for your support and ongoing support with the Change for Women. Thank you so much for supporting us today. Thank you, Hazel. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Joanna. Wow, that was inspirational, powerful. In fact, everybody's presentation has been amazing. I'd like to also add to what Joanna was saying, is that if you look at Africa, gender equality is actually going backwards. You know, the minute it starts, it goes backwards, but I want to congratulate Khomotso Malete from South Africa, because at least in South Africa, gender equality is moving forwards. We're seeing some growth there. So we'd love to see more growth in countries like Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Botswana. And I know that with the women on this platform, for the vision that Gcbl has is going into Africa and doing different projects that together we can make that happen. So thank you to everybody that has spoken so far, all the speakers. And we've come to the last speaker of the event. And I'd like to introduce you to Anastasia. Anastasia is a platinum president at Addis International. She's also an international speaker and a strong advocate of the law of reciprocity. She's also the delegate for the Bahamas, beautiful Bahamas, at the Global Chamber of Business Leaders. Anastasia Lewis, welcome to the Global Chamber of Business Leaders International Women's Day event. And she's going to be speaking about tech for good, leveraging digital tools to advance gender equality. Dr. Anastasia, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. And I am I'm excited to be here and also to connect with you guys for the first time. And I want to extend greetings from, of course, from the beautiful islands of the Bahamas. And I'm excited too, because we have come a long way with regards to gender equality, especially in the Bahamas. I can speak to my country, where in this term was the first time that we have had about 25% in politics now. So I'm thinking that we are getting ahead, but let me gonna go straight into technology really leading the way for women especially when we're talking about innovation, because of time and women being mothers and wives and business women and even employees. So I've been in the digital space, the technology space for about 14 years. And I got there merely because of being burnt out. My background is insurance, so I have a thing about psychology and liability and loss prevention. I just love that field, but it burnt me out. And also because there was not my level in the company, as opposed to a man, they were making about 45% more than I was, having the same qualifications. And so, like I said, we have a long way. And so I came out of the industry and I then tapped into the hotel industry. Same thing happened. And then when I tapped into the digital space, I got to learn a lot of things, and I was able to travel for the mere fact that I made more money being an entrepreneur than being an employee. And when I began to see that, I was then able to have more time with my family. I was able to, if something happened to my children, I was able to be there and be able to make better decisions for their lives. And these are the things that women have to be available to do, because we are the nurturers and we're the caregivers. And when children are not put in order, they are menaces to societies. And so that's the burden that's on a lot of women. That's why sometimes they have to negate some of the things that they want to do in their personal lives, and so they're not able to make the decisions that they want to make. And so when they step into the workforce, things are done, things are left undone, and all that sort of stuff. And so I believe that in this technology space and women getting into the space, it has to do with getting the information out and being innovative, because the only way that money is made is that you have to master how to provide a service or move a product. And the digital space allows you to do that. And it allows women opportunity to have their own businesses and basically take it global. And I've seen that when women have more time, they're able to connect with people all over the world. They're able to have opportunities with people. The world is not as big as it used to be. The world is very small right now. And you are able to get and connect with people just by the click of a mouse. And so I am in total agreement with everything that's being said here, because when you have the time, you are then able to monitor what your children are doing. So we won't have to deal with cyberbullying, and you're able to educate them. And basically when women have the time, they're able to get that time alone to be able to boost their confidence and to be able to identify the team of people that they need around them to get things done. And my niche is basically helping people to put the right teams together, because you can have a great idea, but you have someone on the wrong team, it messes up everything that you're doing. And so you have to be able to tap into who is going to pour back into you what you're giving out, because a lot of women are burnt out because they're violating the law of reciprocity. They're pouring into people who are not pouring back into them. They're giving all the innovation to people who are never going to even bat their eye at them. And so this comes with leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And I believe that as we come together, we're going to put all the pieces together, because I have a piece, Hazel has a piece, Khomotso has a piece, Joanna has a piece, Nicole has a piece. Our CEO definitely has a piece, because he and oh my goodness, I forgot your name, because Enrique are here with us, and they're all putting us all together so we can put this whole puzzle together so we're able to impact the world. And so, like, I know, I can be on here forever but I am cognizant of the time, and I know I have 5 minutes, but I just want you to know that I'm here to serve the platform. I'm here to lend my voice to the cause, and I'm here because I know for a fact that all of us are here for a purpose and an assignment. And once we find it, STEM will not be a problem, because all of our talents are going to come together, and we will be able to lend our voices to gender equality and be able to help so many women. And because you're doing that, that is going to reciprocate back to you and your lifestyle is going to change. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to serve the platform, and I'm not going to go on any longer because you're going to have to pull my dress because I speak long. I'm very long-winded. So I appreciate you guys here today, and I'm sure we're going to be back here another time because I do an event called Sit with the Winners because the conversation is different. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anastasia Lewis. I love your energy. I think, and I love everything about the Bahamas. They're powerful, they're global leaders, and they're making a mark that cannot be erased. Thank you so much. That was absolutely.
And you are welcome at any point in time. You all know someone in the Bahamas, hit me up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we've come to the end of our event, but before we end the event, we'd like to now celebrate all the amazing speakers that have spoken today on our platform because they have achieved magnificent success in technology, innovation, business, as well as humanitarian work. And we want to thank them and appreciate them today by presenting them with the Heroes of Digital Awards. So I'm going to shift over to our special guest, Enrique Acosta Gonzalez, who's going to present the awards to our speakers. Enrique?
Yes, thank you. And it's my extreme pleasure and honor. As a STEM person myself, I'm a meteorologist and oceanographer. Most of you would not have known that, but it is encouraging to hear all of your talks, all of your innovative talks, and your desires for equality. I, as a man, have to apologize as a whole for that this has to happen. There are in this group right now just minds that are blowing people by the conversation and the talk. So thank you so much for what you have shared, for the work you're doing in our world, and for being those champions. Well, it is my extreme honor at this point to present the Heroes of Digital Innovation and Technology Awards to the following: Graciela De Oto, Anna Arakelyan, Khomotso Malete, Shelly Brunswick, Nicole Farrell, Joanna James, Anastasia Lewis, Mariela Modeva, Alessandra Priante, Rosalia Arteaga, and Her Excellency Laila, Rahhal, et Atfani. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you so much, Enrique. Thank you to all the ladies that have been presented with awards. We appreciate all the amazing accomplishments that you are making in technology, innovation, business, as well as advocacy around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of our event. Thank you so much for joining us on this special occasion, International Women's Day. We hope our insights and experiences have sparked meaningful discussions to inspire action towards a more equitable and inclusive world. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.